gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetsky.
What is up, Lakers fans? This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710. Thank you for listening. Thank you, as always, for being here during our constant migrations. I got to say, I believe Friday night, this is the most random night that we have done Lakers Talk. 6 to 8 p.m. Friday. I don't know if we're going to top this. Frankly, I don't want to top this. I think if we top 6 to 8 Friday night, it could start getting a little too weird, but appreciate, as always, everybody coming with us no matter what night, what time we are on. As always, too, because I got to get in there right now, Locked on Lakers, everywhere you get your podcast Monday through Friday, always free, never behind a paywall. And for the sickos who like to watch, there's a YouTube component. You can also hear my brother Brian and I covering the Lakers 5 days a week on that podcast. Got a great show tonight, some really good guests. Ohm Youngmisuk, who covers the NBA and the Warriors for ESPN, going to obviously get his thoughts on the Lakers, where they stand across the league, but also Golden State, who the Lakers face tomorrow. That game is 5:30, and pregame coverage with Beto Duran begins at 4 o'clock, and then Beto will have the postgame as well. And the Warriors, I think, are a really interesting team right now for the Lakers because they are dealing with some of the same kind of crossroads issues as a franchise dealing with makes it sound worse than I actually mean it. But crossroads, they are teams right now that are not currently at the front of the Western Conference. They're not considered one of the top contenders. They have aging all-time great stars on their team. LeBron, obviously, with the Lakers, Steph Curry with the Warriors. And what do you do with that when you are theoretically in a place where you should be looking to maximize what you have with these all-time great stars, but the foundation may not be as easily there? So going to talk with Ohm about that. And then at 7:15, Dan Woike, who covers the Lakers for the LA Times, is going to be joining me as well. It's going to be really interesting as well. Going to get into Anthony Davis's comments to Shams Charania from ESPN that not only does he believe that the Lakers are a move or two away from contending, hint, hint, make a move, Rob, but also, in particular, he wants to play more power forward. He thinks he is best playing the four. He's been telling the organization this for several years. This is nothing they don't know. So, hint, hint, not only make a move, Rob, make a move for a center. So we're going to get into those thoughts from Anthony Davis, going to get into Jared Vanderbilt making his return tomorrow night against the Warriors after what has been almost a year away from the court for Jared Vanderbilt after the double foot surgery and just the long, painstaking process of getting Vando back on the court. What is his potential impact on the court, in the rotation, trade deadline, all of those different things. 877-710-ESPN if you want to weigh in. 877-710-ESPN. I want to hear your thoughts. You can also hit me up on Twitter at CamBrothers. I'm going to be monitoring my feed for comments, but got to start with last night. Maybe the biggest win of the season against the defending champion and hated rivals. So much so that you don't even like acknowledging that these are the defending champions, but the Boston Celtics are. Nothing we can do about it for the time being. The Lakers kick off the official second half of the season. This was game 42 with an absolute ass-kicking of the Celtics. 117-96. I will just get the caveats out of the way now for anybody who's a cynic or a hater or whatever. I know, second end of a back-to-back. They had a game against the Clippers the previous night that went into overtime. Third game in 4 nights, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. I don't care. I don't care. That's the NBA. And you know what? The Lakers, early in the season, had a bleep ton of games early on, like an unusual amount of games early on in the season, so much so that, remember, LeBron needed to take that time off. And guess what? Nobody cared about how this was affecting the Lakers. Nobody cared. So I don't care about how it affects Boston. And Boston was at full strength. The Celtics were at full strength in last night's game. Their injury report didn't even have anything on it. It's a blank sheet of paper. That was the injury report. And they had Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday back. Those guys didn't actually play the previous night against the Clippers. And they are still one of the top teams in the league, Boston, to win it all. And the Lakers kicked the crap out of them for almost the entire game. It was a great team performance on both sides of the ball, across the board, including some things the Lakers did that were purely on them executing, or the effort factor, the care factor, the details factor, as opposed to, if you want to say Boston was tired or whatever. Anthony Davis, 24 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. He led the team in scoring. LeBron James, 20 points, 14 rebounds. Big night for LeBron on the glass, 6 assists. Austin Reeves, 23 points, 6 assists against 0 turnovers. Rui Hachimura, not a great night shooting, 10 points, but 7 rebounds. Dalton Connect, 3 triples in the first half. Gabe Vincent, 14 points, 4 triples, and 4 assists. It was a really strong night for Gabe Vincent on both sides of the ball. The Lakers defensively, they held Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown to under 35 points combined. Like, they also spent a lot of time with guards on Kristaps Porzingis, which it was really interesting, DeAndre. In the beginning, I was wondering how much of this was, as we've talked about this a lot, like the idea of the Lakers giving up switches too easily. But then I began wondering how much of this maybe was trying to bait Boston into taking more twos, like just to try to make the math work in their favor. And, you know, particularly the times where when Max Christie would be switched onto Porzingis, like we've seen him, particularly against Victor Wembanyama, like front really well and defend the post really well against bigger guys. I never got clarification one way or the other, but I wondered how much of this was a little bit by design, just the idea of we can maybe make the math work in our favor against this team that just bombs threes all day.
Yeah, it seemed like they did the small guard on Porzingis because they're like, okay, we don't want to get beat by Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown. We didn't want Jason Tatum getting in rhythm because he was struggling shooting in that first half. And he started to pick it up a little bit coming out of the halftime. So I think the game plan was, okay, if we get beat by Porzingis, we can kind of live with that. We just don't want to get the other guys getting their shots flowing.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, like, because Porzingis did have a good game, but he didn't kill him.
No,
I mean, like, they can live with 22 points from Porzingis if Tatum and Brown and Derek White never get going at all. Like, that's actually a pretty good trade-off. So I don't know if I would do this, like, if the Lakers, let's just say, end up in a 7-game series against Boston, because that means they're in the finals.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd do that every game.
No.
But it was an interesting wrinkle if it was intentional. The Lakers beat the Celtics 53-42 on the glass. And as a team, they kind of beat Boston at their own game. Like Boston, we talked about, they typically bomb from outside, and they only made 34% on 41 threes, which is actually low by their standards. The Lakers put up 35, which is high for them, higher than their average, 43%. 5 guys had at least 2 made threes. And that's not Boston being tired, because we've seen plenty of times where the Lakers have had wide open shots and they didn't make them. Like, that's the Lakers making their shots. They went 18 of 20 at the line, 90%. That's got nothing to do with Boston being tired at all. And this was something the Lakers did last night, like uncharacteristically great, that I was so excited to see. They got the ball up court quickly. Like, I don't mean running a break. I don't mean that they were looking to go. I just mean every time they took the ball off the glass, off a miss, or even taking the ball out of their own basket, they got it up court quickly. They weren't doing the typical thing where they crap away 8 seconds just getting across half court, then another 5 or 6, just sort of one guy dribbling, maybe one pass, and then you got 6 or 7 seconds before you even get into any action at all, which leads to bad shots. It sometimes leads to turnovers because You're making passes under duress. Like, they just moved offensively quicker and with purpose, and it created better shots.
There's a lot more movement too. A lot more fluid movement. Guys weren't standing around ball watching.
Well, you can do that when you are starting your offense at 15 as opposed to 7.
Exactly.
when there isn't time to do anything. So, and again, that's got nothing to do with Boston's physical or mental state. That was the Lakers doing the right things, and this was a really exciting win. It was arguably the best win of the season, 21 points over the Celtics.
They played a complete game, 48 minutes.
Yeah.
48 minutes. Because, it's funny because I tweeted, I was like, wow, Lakers came out with this game, energy and effort high. They were, flying around, like you said, winning the rebounding battle. And obviously, I like what they did when you said that the Boston's only shot 34% from 3, right? That's because I feel like the Lakers' closeouts were hard. They forced Boston because, Sedano put this stat out that Boston shoots a high percentage when they just catch and shoot. Mm-hmm. When they have to force it and put the ball on the floor, then shoot, Boston struggles. So I feel like the Lakers did a good job running off the line. Yeah. But it was good to see, even coming out the second half, the Lakers came out there and kept their foot on the gas, because I was getting tweets like, oh, let's see what the second half's going to look like. Oh, Boston's going to pick it up. And I was just glad to see that they finished the game whole 48 minutes.
No, it was arguably the best win of the season for the Lakers. Really fun night. What does it mean moving forward as they begin a 6-game road trip? Again, Saturday, tomorrow against the Warriors. Anthony Davis has some ideas of what it should mean. Get into that coming up next. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Why do we grill to order at Waba Grill? Because it's just better for you. Our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Right now, get our Value Bowl combo for only $8.99. Waba Grill. It's for you.
Hey guys, it's Sedano. At Los Angeles International Airport, changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. The LAX economy parking structure is now open with thousands of smart parking spaces, as well as hundreds of EV charging stations. Modernized terminals have biometric gates for faster boarding, and in the future, the People Mover train will connect travelers to LA Metro. For more information, go to their website, flylax.com/transforminglAX. That's flylax.com/transforminglAX.
You never expect a Hail Mary pass to win and end the game, or getting into an accident. Hey, it's Trav with DeMarco.
Only one all-star defense team you can call to defend you. The personal injury law offices of Joseph S. Normand. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000.
Don't get sacked by others. Joseph will help you achieve the maximum compensation you deserve. Visit normandlegal.com or call 213-747-2000. That's 213-747-2000.
Let Joseph and his team score a touchdown for you.
That's the ease at which you get information. You want it, you get it. Like that. Ask your phone. Group chat. Smartphone. You're always connected and informed in real time. No waiting. So if you're diabetic and still using finger sticks to read your blood sugar, what are you waiting for? Knowing your blood sugar levels instantly is important for managing diabetes. Call US Med at 888-665-0696. To learn more about continuous glucose monitors, a real-time instant method to track your blood glucose, US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 1,000 private insurers. And the best part? Call 888-665-0696 and we'll give you a free insurance benefits check today. So call 888-665-0696 today. That's 888-665-0696 and manage your diabetes as easy as...
All the latest surrounding the Lake Show.
A special Friday night edition of Lakers Talk continues.
LeBron down the middle all the way. Slam dunk! took it right at Cornette, and he backed off, and LeBron dunked it.
It's NBA rivalry week, as LeBron and the Lakers had no problem taking down their ultimate rival last night at Crypto.com.
It just showed us that we can take a game plan and execute it. And like I said, our coaches gave us a game plan that they felt like was the best in order to help us win this game, and we just executed as a team.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Now back to Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky.
Across 110th Street, I wasn't sure if there's, I don't remember if it's Wu-Tang or somebody has a single that has a heavy sample of this.
It's the Ghostface Killer.
Okay, Ghostface Killer. I knew it was either Wu-Tang or one of those guys heavily samples this.
But I'm glad you know the original.
Oh, they make great use of this in the movie Jackie Brown.
Oh,
when
that's Tarantino's my favorite Tarantino movie.
It's actually my favorite too. Like, I think it's one of his best, but if you want to argue that it's not his best movie in terms of like pure filmmaking, like the writing, the way the story's presented, like, okay, you can easily say Pulp Fiction more influential, like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, more of an ambitious movie, like, and I love those movies.
And Samuel L. Jackson's Odell is like one of my favorite characters of all time.
He must have pushed Kangol sales up like 150% for at
and
least
that ponytail too.
The ponytailed beard.
Yes, the ponytailed beard.
He didn't have just a ponytail. He had a goateed ponytail.
Love it.
Oh, so I love De Niro.
De Niro in the movie, yes.
Dumbest
old
criminal.
stoner.
Oh, he's so. And Bridget Fonda, Luis.
Yes. Even Chris Tucker for his 10 seconds in a movie.
Chris
killed
Tucker is very. He killed it, and unfortunately,
yes.
Spoiler alert, almost 30 years, got killed.
Yes.
But yeah, Jackie Brown, great Tarantino. About 15 minutes from Ohm Youngmisuk covers the Warriors, the NBA. I want to get a little bit of his thoughts on the Lakers on the halfway point, but really also the Warriors, who the Lakers are going to be taking on tomorrow night in the Bay, first game of a 6-game roadie. Our coverage begins at 4 o'clock with Beto Duran, then the tip at 5:30, followed by the postgame again with Beto Duran. I think the Warriors in a lot of ways are a similar team to the Lakers right now in terms of some of the small picture and big picture questions that they got to answer for themselves right now this season, particularly with the trade deadline looming. Speaking of which, Anthony Davis did a sit-down with Shams Charania from The Athletic. Was with The Athletic. He's now with us at ESPN. That, interestingly enough, dropped right before last night's game. I am guessing that is not coincidental timing. It also comes on the heels of a report from Shams, very busy this week, that LeBron and Anthony Davis would like to see the Lakers make a move at the deadline, but are concerned that the Lakers either can't make the move that they would like to see or, I guess, won't make the move that they would like to see. First thing I want to play from Anthony Davis is him talking about with Shams, talking about where the Lakers stand right now.
I think our 19-20 team was like the perfect construction of a team. We had shooters, we had dogs defensively, we had scorers. We knew like everybody who knew their role.
It sounds to me like you're saying you guys are maybe a couple pieces away.
We are though. Like I really feel like we are.
And again, that reflects the report from Shams that, according to sources, LeBron and AD would like to see Rob Pelinka make another move. Obviously, there was one a few weeks ago with Dorian Finney-Smith, a move that I think the Lakers are still figuring out some kinks, namely how to offset D'Angelo Russell's ball handling and shooting and general work as a point guard. But DFS, and he didn't score last night, but I thought he was really good defensively against Boston. You can see the ways he will help, particularly in the playoffs. AD also said something very interesting to Shams in terms of how he wants to be used by the Lakers and how this could affect the deadline.
I think we need another big. I feel like I've always been at my best when I've been the 4. And having the big out there, we know it worked when we won the championship with JaVale and Dwight. I'm at the 5 and I'm at the 4.
Okay, now, and this has been an open secret with Anthony Davis for years, since the moment he joined this organization. I truly mean the moment, because during his introductory press conference, he talked about preferring to play power forward over center. There's always been, every year, it's a tradition like any other. We hear reports during the offseason or around the deadline that Anthony Davis would prefer to play more 4 than 5, would like the Lakers to get another center, wants to have somebody else there for the physicality matchups, in particular against pick your big white Euro center, Nikola Jokic, Domantas Sabonis, Ivica Zubac, and down the line. But yesterday was as direct from Anthony Davis that we've heard in years about, no, really, I want to play more 4. We need another big on this team. And what I think is interesting about this question is, with AD and Anthony Davis, what AD may want personally, like his own preferences, he's entitled to those. Like, AD is entitled to want to play however he wants to play. But that's not necessarily the same thing as what's best for AD as a player, but also what's best for the team as a whole, how they use Anthony Davis. And I think in a vacuum, AD's 100% correct that the Lakers need more pure size. Like, at minimum, they need an additional center that is an upgrade over Jackson Hayes, Christian Coloco, trade Jemison. I at this point, I'm not counting Christian Wood, because there's been no indication that he's going to be back this season, much less anytime soon. Like, they clearly could use an upgrade of size over Jackson Hayes, who's currently AD's backup, like a guy that is, I think, more seasoned in the playoffs, more trustworthy than Jackson. Jackson's had a few good games recently, but you want more optionality there. You want more pure size. I think you want a defensive and rebounding upgrade over Jackson. But at the same time, though, unless you can find a truly, like, a starting caliber center that, like, forces his way on the floor and makes it impossible for J.J. Redick, because of this guy's talent, not to reconfigure the rotation to give him this guy's starters minutes, which would mean changing how you use Anthony Davis at the 4, how you use now LeBron at the 3, how you use all these other guys. I don't know if there's a center out there that is going to actually make it worth doing all of that. Like, the idea of Anthony Davis really being able to play half or more of his minutes at the 4. I don't know how viable that is in terms of somebody who's actually attainable for the Lakers. Like, who's actually out there that makes it possible. But I also don't think it's the best thing for the Lakers anyway. Like, to me, the best thing for the Lakers as a team is AD playing the majority of his minutes at center. Like, AD brought up the 2020 title team, which fans do all the time, and they always bring up JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard and those guys, the role that they played on that team, and it was important, like, particularly in the regular season. Those guys were important. But once you get to the playoffs, neither one of them averaged 16 minutes a game. In the case of JaVale, he averaged fewer than 10. They were both largely DNP CDs in the Houston series. Dwight was the only center who played, other than Anthony Davis, obviously, against Denver. But his minutes progressively got fewer as the series went along. And it's important to remember, Nikola Jokic was good then, but he was not Jokic at that point. Like, he was a good player, but he was not this version of Jokic, meaning I don't know how effective Dwight Howard would have been against this version of Jokic anyway. Dwight's minutes decreased over the course of that series. And whenever it was crunch time, whenever it was the most important minutes of the game in the fourth quarter, AD always played center. Why? A, because I think that's the best version of Anthony Davis, but B, when you play Anthony Davis at center then, and I think now, it allows the Lakers to play more of their best players. Like, you get the best players that the Lakers have on this team, the most talented, the most skilled, offensively, defensively, shooting, whatever. You get a better variety of those guys when AD is playing center. And honestly, I'm not even sure AD is as equipped to play the 4 in 2025 as he was in 2020.
That's something I was going to say. Like, you think, like, he can guard someone like, you know, Eamon Thomas or something, like someone like that, like who's playing the 4 right now, like someone really fast and like jumpy and, you know, athletic. That's a new way that the power forward's going right now.
I think defensively he can't. I mean, AD can do anything defensively, at least during some possessions over the course of a game. Like, AD is incredibly versatile. But I also feel like if you put AD at the 4, unless you've got a really good rim protector behind him, you're going to start compromising your defense at the rim, in the lane. You start pushing LeBron more out to a full-time wing defensively, which I don't love the idea of that, particularly if AD is being moved further out into space with his assignments. Or, I mean, I don't know if this mythical center, you have AD guarding the lane and this other guy is out in space.
This guy doesn't exist.
Right, but he's probably worse. You know, AD, he's not quite as agile as he used to be. Still very agile, but not quite as much as he used to be, not quite as quick as he used to be. He's bulkier than he was
in his 30s now.
Right. He's bulky in 2020. He also isn't shooting from outside quite as well as he did that year. I also looked up his numbers driving to the basket. They're not quite and this matters because he'd often be theoretically starting more in space. His numbers driving to the basket are not quite as good as they were in 2020. I just don't think that moving Anthony Davis to the 4, if not full-time, even 50% of the time, I don't think it works as well 5 years down the line as it did then, in part because of AD, in part because of LeBron, and I think just in general who you have on this team. I think AD's 100% right. They need an upgrade in size behind him. It was one of the reasons I'd hope Nick Richards could be available. I think he would be perfect as an upgrade to play 15 minutes a night, 18 minutes a night. But I don't know if Anthony Davis, if the player really exists, and if people have ideas, 877-710-ESPN, I don't know if this player exists that will make it worth it for the team as a whole or even AD individually to bring him in to push AD to the 4 more.
We see that the double big man lineup. It didn't start off early in the season. We saw it literally like a couple games ago that they started implementing Jackson Hayes and Anthony Davis in the lineup. But with the double big man, LeBron was moving to the bench and they would bring in Dorian Finney-Smith.
Right.
So that's why they were like, okay, that's why we can utilize this double big man lineup because they know what.
It's a little bit of telling on yourself.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's sort of an unspoken acknowledgement. Could AD maybe a center better than Jackson Hayes and DFS make this work? Sure. But how many minutes are you going to take LeBron off the floor, particularly in the playoffs? LeBron's going to play 40 minutes a game. Especially once you get into the postseason, this really, I think, becomes less of a thing. So it'll be interesting. We'll get more into this again, 877-710-ESPN, if you have ideas for trade targets for the Lakers. But coming up next, going to take a look at tomorrow's opponent, the Golden State Warriors, with Ohm Youngmisuk from ESPN. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
It is playoff time, and it is now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. We have over 10 million members and billions of dollars.
He came back from the dead!
Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to everybody. All you got to do is pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40 states, including California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use the code CAPPY, K-A-P-P-Y. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CAPPY on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Hey, it's Mace. As LA deals with tragedy, our friend Jacob Imrani has a special message for you.
Wildfires can leave lasting scars on our families, our homes, our communities, and our peace of mind. Navigating the recovery process is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. I'm Jacob Emrani, and my team and I are here to help ensure you're treated fairly and get the resources you need. Call us for a free consultation and let us help you rebuild with confidence.
Call Jacob. Enjoy New Year savings at Carton Alleyway Hyundai. Lease a brand new 2025 Hyundai Elantra SC for just $209 a month plus tax for 36 months. Plus, enjoy peace of mind driving with America's best warranty. Visit us today at Carton Alleyway Hyundai, just off the 91 freeway, or online at CartonAlleyWayHyundai.com. $34.99 due at signing includes 10,000 miles per year, plus tax, license, $85 dock fee, and registration. No security deposit required. Subject to HMF credit approval. Expires 02/03/2025.
Texting enrolls you into recurring automated text messages. Consent not required to purchase. Message and data rates may apply.
Hey, Dan, how you doing? Haven't seen you around the gym for a while.
Yeah, I've really fallen off. Since I turned 40, I just don't get the results I used to get.
Could be lower testosterone.
Lower T?
Yeah, I went through it a while back. Once you hit 40, your body has less free testosterone. I got Nugenix Total T, and it's made a huge difference for me.
I've seen that ad on TV. Is it for real?
Oh, yeah. The key ingredient is something called Tesnor, which helps boost free and total testosterone levels to help you trim up and stay lean.
And it's made a difference for you?
Man, I feel like I'm in my 20s again, at work, in the gym, and in the bedroom.
Are they still giving out complimentary bottles for people to try it for themselves?
Yeah, you just need to send them a text.
Text STREAK to 321-321 right now for your complimentary bottle of Nugenix Total T, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC. Plus, text now and we'll include a bottle of Nugenix Thermo, our most powerful fat incinerator ever, to help you get back into shape fast. Absolutely free. Text STREAK to 321-321. That's STREAK to 321-321.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN.
The defending champion Celtics came into downtown LA last night for rivalry week, but AD and the Lake Show were up for the task.
Reeves pulls up to AD, slam dunk. Reeves with the alley, AD with the oop.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the top teams in the league, so it definitely gives you confidence that we're able to compete with anybody.
It's a Friday night edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
Is this what I Ain't Mad at You samples?
Yes, it is.
The Tupac song.
Yes, sir.
Yes. Who is this?
This will blow your mind. This is actually The Barge.
Interesting.
Yes. This is called A Dream by DeBarge.
Is DeBarge like the precursor to El DeBarge? Are they related?
Yeah. DeBarge is a group of his brothers and sisters. Yes,
Okay.
they were, before El DeBarge was a star.
Okay. So, wait a minute. So, El DeBarge is he's a person?
Yes, El DeBarge is a person.
Okay, I always thought El DeBarge was the name of the group. Like
DeBarge is a group.
Okay.
El DeBarge is a guy. He's the guy.
Interesting. I wonder if Ohm Youngmisuk
I'm sure he knows.
Covers the NBA, in particular covers the Warriors, who the Lakers play tomorrow. 5:30 tip. Pregame coverage begins at 4 o'clock with Beto Duran. He joins right now. Ohm, how are you, man?
If you could see me, you could see me literally hitting my forehead at you saying you didn't know that El DeBarge was a person.
I did not
and
know.
You thought it was the name of the group.
I'm trying to think. What did? Okay, El DeBarge. Did they do the remake in Footloose of that song "Dancing in the Streets"?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
no, that's
No, I don't-
Shalimar. That's Shalimar.
No, that's Shalimar. You definitely would know DeBarge if you heard a lot of their songs.
I'm sure I'm sure I'd know their stuff, Ohm. I think I always assumed El DeBarge was like the continuation of DeBarge, like the way Jefferson Airplane became Jefferson Starship, and then they became Starship. Like I thought they were just different versions of the same thing.
The song you're thinking of is the song you're thinking of is "Rhythm of the Night" from The Last Dragon. It's probably the song you were thinking.
It is. You're 100% correct that that's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
All right.
I know my 80s. I know my 90s R&B, and but there's several DeBarge songs. Time Will Reveal is one that are famous. Slow Jams. If you heard a lot of these songs, you know, and I think El DeBarge probably is the best voice out of them all.
All right, well, after this show's over, I'm going to be spending a lot of time on the DeBarge Wikipedia page because apparently there's a lot I got to learn. So, I want to get your thoughts on the Warriors. Again, the Lakers play them tomorrow, and I think in a lot of ways they're facing down some of the same issues the Lakers are dealing with right now. Like there's a crossroads of sorts with your aging iconic stars, even though the Lakers did kick off the second half of the season with that spanking of the Celtics last night. The Warriors, they've been going through it this season. After a 12-3 start, they've gone 10-19 since. There's been a lot of turbulence, what to do with Kuminga, with Podziemski, Moody, what's owed to Steph. Like, what happened between the first 15 games and where we are now?
It's a great question. I think Steve Kerr has struggled to find those answers, Steph and Draymond as well. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. One, they got off to such a hot start. They had a favorable schedule, and, you know, the ball was zipping around and looking like, I kid you not, at some point there were flashes of like 2015 Warriors. I'm only strictly talking about the ball movement, the way it was zipping around, the way guys were moving in different places. Buddy Hield was on fire in the first couple games, and then all of a sudden Buddy Hield just like came crashing back down to earth, and he has not been good since. He has struggled. They lost D'Anthony Melton, who was a two-way player that fit with, you know, they thought would be a perfect fit alongside Steph Curry. He was lost for the year. Kuminga kind of struggled in the beginning, then started really turning it on and like understanding how to play alongside Steph and Draymond, and then all of a sudden went from averaging about 24 points a game in a 6-game stretch to spraining his ankle, and he's been out since January 4th. They've had a lot of injuries. Brandon Podziemski just came back after being out since the end of December. They've had Steph and Draymond have had to be almost like load managed because they are trying to keep their minutes down and extend their careers. And then Draymond got hurt. And so there's a lot of issues with this team. And I think also they're aging. Like Steph, certainly still capable of carrying a team like you saw on Christmas night. Laker fans saw what he can do on Christmas night. But there hasn't been a ton of those games. Like, you know, he is facing defenses that are throwing box and ones at him, trapping him. I mean, in Memphis, Jalen Wells face guarded him from tip. And it was like this guy looked at nothing else but Steph. He just faced Steph almost the entire game. They lost by 51 in Memphis that game. It's just like he's facing all these defenses, and now that he's older, it's harder and harder for him to constantly run around all over the court, run around screens, free himself, and shoot. He's still capable on a big night like Christmas on the big stage of performing like that, for sure. But he needs more help. Like Andrew Wiggins is like the only guy right now out that can really provide a steady stream of points to help him out. They need Kuminga back, and they need all these other guys to kind of step up. And last night, actually, the other thing too, I would say, is they have this struggle between like the old dynasty timeline and the new timeline, which was supposed to be Kuminga, Podziemski, Moses Moody. And I think last night they saw a couple of new guys step up, like Quentin Post, who's like this stretch five now that Steve Kerr wants to really see what else he can do to help stretch and open things up for Steph, and Guy Santos. I mean, they have these guys like that kind of stepped up big time last night against the Bulls, but, you know, Steph needs more help. And I think the difference between the Lakers and the Warriors is that I think right now you're looking at LeBron James and Anthony Davis saying and signaling, we need more help. We want you to make another trade. We want you to get us another guy to try to help us win now, whether that's a center, whether that's a big, whatever. The Warriors are like, on the other hand, if we can get somebody without giving up much, then that's great. But if not, we don't want you to push all the chips on the table for someone to make a rash move, like, say, get Jimmy Butler or something like that, where there will be no guarantee of us making the playoffs, let alone making a deep run in the playoffs. We'd rather probably save the chips for this coming summer and see what's available. And if a big star that we didn't think was available now becomes available, we have those chips available to go after a guy.
Talking with Ohm Youngmisuk from ESPN, covers the NBA, covers the Warriors, apparently an expert on DeBarge as well, we've learned. So that's very exciting. It's funny, you mentioned that kind of two-timeline thing with the Warriors, and I want to get into that in a second because I think there's some commonalities also with the Lakers as well. But you were talking about how they may not be looking to be as aggressive at the trade deadline. And right now, I know Laker fans are trying to figure out what other teams are going to be looking to do, period, who might be available. If you don't expect them to necessarily be aggressive buyers, could you picture the Warriors actually being sellers, and if so, who?
I don't think they would be sellers as in, like, we're going to get rid of, like, a bunch of guys. I think what would happen is if they totally, let's just say they crater in the next 2 weeks, Steph gets hurt, knock on wood, Steph gets hurt, whatever, and they just go in this crazy losing streak, then I think you could see the Warriors sell off a couple guys to get under the luxury tax. Maybe that's like a Kevon Looney or Gary Payton or something like that, to shed some of the luxury tax. My expectation, though, is that because of the play-in, as long as they hover close to the play-in, they can stay relevant. They will try to give Steph that shot of like, hey, you know, I mean, Steph doesn't want to do it. Trust me. Steph was telling me the other day, like last week, like, we don't want to just go through the play-in where 48 minutes dictates our entire season. We want to get in without having to worry about that. But if you're going to get in at the 6th seed right now, they are 3 games out behind the Clippers and the Lakers. So, but they are, you know, half a game out of 10. If they somehow remain in the mix, I just don't expect them to really kind of like sell guys off and things like that. I don't think there's going to be a massive sell with the Warriors. If anything, if they totally collapse in the next couple of weeks, then maybe they just kind of shed some salary a little bit to get under the luxury tax.
Talking with Ohm Youngmisuk, covers the Warriors and the NBA for the Lakers. And the Warriors over the last couple of years, they've been trying to straddle this timeline, like you alluded to it before, of competing now, but also setting up simultaneously their future. For one season, the light years ahead of season, it looked like everything was going perfectly until it wasn't, and here we are right now. And the Lakers have been reportedly, and I think seemingly, trying to have their cake and eat it too, in terms of, at the very least, optically looking competitive, but not giving up all of either their young players or their draft picks. They don't have a ton of that to begin with. It is a very difficult path to walk. What lessons do you think the Warriors can offer the Lakers for this moment?
If you look at the Warriors, and I think it was, as I was told, it was about like 2021, 2020, I believe. It was 2020. They had internal discussions of going, like, let's go for it, put all our chips in, try to win more championships and maximize the Curry window. We could take our first-round pick, which was going to be the number 2 overall pick in the 2020 draft, and we can push that and maybe a future number 1 pick, which would later become Kuminga, and we can give it to the New Orleans Pelicans and see if they would give us Jrue Holiday. I don't think talks ever got to any substantial talks. But internally, I think the Warriors are thinking, do we go after a veteran like Jrue Holiday and try to keep winning as many championships as we can, extend this dynasty with Steph, Clay, and Draymond? Or do we try to build toward a post-Curry future, which is we have the number 2 overall pick because we just had this horrible season where we won 15 games. Steph was out for the year. Clay's been out. And do we take James Wiseman, you know, and then do we just keep building and we then use the number 7 pick the following year and get Kuminga? And I think that's where ownership was like, I want to build a future after Curry, but also these young guys can learn from our vets and maybe we can try to win at the same time. And I guess you could see that thinking, right? Mm-hmm. And like when they went and got Wiseman, you know, Wiseman was supposed to be like their big man of the future. And like, you know, there were highlights at times where if you look up James Wiseman highlights early state, you would be like, man, they look like they got David Robinson next to them. Like this guy's running the floor, dunking, you know what I mean? He's like everything they needed, but you didn't see the lowlights as well and how like maybe they should have sent him down to the G League and Santa Cruz and had him develop that whole year because he was so young and so raw and maybe wasn't ready to be thrown into the pressure cooker. And I think that's where they are now. Where they are now is, and this season, Christmas is an example against the Lakers, okay? You have Steph and Draymond and these vets like Buddy Hield, Dennis Schroeder. They're there to win now. But then you have young guys like Kuminga, Podziemski, who very much are learning with each game and need that in-game experience. And you have to live with the mistakes they make too. And because they're making those mistakes, the vets that are there to win now kind of have to suffer along with that. So if you remember the Christmas game, Reeves has the ball at the end of the corner. Mm-hmm. He's one-on-one Wiggins, and he blows by Wiggins. The help probably should have been Kuminga. Kuminga was facing Rui Hachimura, who was on the baseline. He was out of bounds, actually. By the time Kuminga turns around to take a look, it's too late. Reeves is at the basket. Kuminga, if he had more experience, probably comes over to help, and Reeves does not get to the rim. So these are things that the Warriors have to live with while they're trying to live with these two timelines. And that's why, like, you had this weird thing about, like, a month ago where Steve was all of a sudden like, well, it's time we see what we have in the future. We're going to start Kuminga, and Draymond Green's going to come off the bench, and Draymond has willingly accepted this. That lasted like 5 or 6 games because they were losing so many games that basically Steve Kerr was like, I got to keep switching my lineup. They've used like 26 different starting lineups this year. It's like insane. You'll see Steve Kerr like use 13 guys on some nights. And so basically, like, they're still searching. They're trying to win for Steph, but at the same time, they don't want to give up on their because, you know, look, this is Chase Center. They're selling out every game. Their owner probably wants that to continue. I think he's enthralled with, you know, he loves Jonathan Kuminga's athleticism, and he sees Podziemski on some nights look really good, and you can imagine what their future would be after Steph. But at the same time, you have to keep that window open for Steph. And I understand what the Lakers are going through, and I understand, like, with LeBron and AD, like, the window is only open for so long. You won a championship back in 2020. It's now 2025. We would have expected that AD and LeBron, when they formed this team together, would have more than one championship to show. And so I 100% understand their frustration with not wanting, you know, wanting to go get more people.
Or also, too, I mean, we're talking with Ohm Youngmisuk, who covers the Warriors, covers the NBA in general for ESPN. With the Lakers specifically, I doubt that they thought for sure, like rock solid sure, frankly, that LeBron would still be on this team in 2025. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, in terms of trying to map out their future, even in 2020, picturing what the LeBron AD era was going to be. I doubt they thought for sure, oh yeah, LeBron, age 40, would still be playing at this level, and there would still be this type of potential onus to put a team around him like that. And it's funny, like, I realize it's a different situation with Steph and, to a lesser but still tangible degree, Draymond, because they're lifers with the Warriors during hands down the best period in franchise history, versus LeBron and AD, who are superstars and they've won a championship, but it's not the same type of history for the Lakers. But broadly speaking, how much do you think franchises, like, quote unquote, owe their stars? You know what I mean? Like, do they owe them anything in terms of, I guess, either competitiveness or the moves they're looking to make or willing to make, whatever they're willing to mortgage?
I think they do, and they don't. I also understand 100% what Rob Pelinka is thinking here, because you're right. Rob Pelinka is probably like, I wasn't expecting 40-year-old LeBron to play at this level, and if I push all my chips in right now to go get some help, does it guarantee us that we're winning a championship? Probably not. The way the Warriors look at it is, if we're going to push all our chips in, like last summer, they looked into Lauri Markkanen, they looked into Paul George. But both of those clubs, the Clippers at the time, because Paul George wasn't a free agent yet, and the Utah Jazz, obviously Danny Ainge, wanted, you know, young prospects and picks. And the Warriors are just like, we're not giving up all of our chips unless they say franchise-altering trade. I'm sure Rob Pelinka looks at it the same way. What is a franchise-altering trade? To me, like, if I'm the Warriors, and this is just me talking, okay?
Sure.
If I can even have a sniff of Giannis in the summertime, if things go bad with Milwaukee in this postseason, and you know, like Doc Rivers has had a history of that, right? And if Giannis gets bounced early, he tends to get frustrated. Look at Milwaukee. All Milwaukee does, they are an organization of what you talked about. They feel they owe everything to Giannis. They are doing everything they can to keep Giannis. Meaning, like, even though they've been going kind of well right now with Dame and Giannis and this little supporting group, no, we need to go get another star, whether that's Bradley Beal, whoever it may be. We're trying to make another move because we don't want to lose Giannis. But if Giannis gets frustrated and wants out this summer, the Golden State Warriors have to hold on to their chips. They may not even have the most chips to go after Giannis this summer. It could be there are plenty of other teams that have many more chips to go after. But if you're the Golden State Warriors and you Steph Curry and Draymond Green, and those guys might be able to get into the ear of a really franchise-altering superstar to tell them, we want you to come here, let's make a trade, we're going to work on this and everything like that, well, then you have to hold on to everything. And so with Rob Pelinka, I understand, like, you don't know how much longer LeBron James has in him and at this level. And so you hold on to your chips, because if you don't have your chips, what happens? What are you looking at? You've seen some of these other teams have just run out, and then it takes years and years and years to get back to where you are. So he's trying to be as responsible as he can, because whatever trade he probably is going to make at February 6th is not going to be a franchise-altering move that guarantees a championship.
He is Ohm Youngmisuk. He covers the Warriors and the NBA for ESPN, and also he is much more informed on DeBarge than I am. I just learned, by the way, and this is the source of my confusion, the reason I thought El DeBarge was like the group name as opposed to El DeBarge being a person, apparently El DeBarge, his real name is Eldra DeBarge. I thought it was like El DeBarge, like Spanish, like the DeBarge. Like that's what they were. They were the DeBarge. I'm being serious. I think that's what I was confused about. I just thought this was the DeBarge, and we were listening to the DeBarge. But thank you.
I mean, listen, we could talk we could talk all day about family groups from the 80s. I mean, we could talk about the Jets if you want to. Okay.
Well,
not the New York Jets, the Jets that were the musical act with a brother and sister group that was humongous. But yes, you need to definitely dust up on your DeBarge and start listening to more DeBarge.
I will get myself more schooled on before the next time you come on Lakers Talk again. Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Who knew they're not the DeBarge? I had no idea. I really thought it was the DeBarge. All right, coming up next, Lakers Talk. We're going to react to some of what Ohm Youngmisuk said, take a look at what the Lakers might be doing at the trade deadline. And again, 7:15, going to be joined by Dan Woike from the LA Times, who covers the Lakers. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710.
Travis Rogers and DeMarco Farr.
Monday morning at 9 a.m. after Greeny.
Where are your glasses? Sykes. I got them right here. I'm not. Okay. See, no, don't you start. I fixed me losing glasses.
I saw you get into, I don't want to say a panic. It wasn't quite a panic.
No, it was a panic.
You were like, where are my glasses? Where are they? Are they on my head? Are they on my shirt? I'm like, dude, just get one of those granny chains and hang them around your neck.
No, you sound like my wife. I'm not going to wear one of those chains. I'm not. I don't care how you dress it
like
up.
Like you said, if you'd be thankful you're human and not a lion, or you would have been eaten by now.
I can still scrap. I just can't see up close.
You could granny chain it till you're in your 70s,
Lions
80s, 90s.
Don't need to read like little screens, but I can still scrap.
You've at least blown up your font, right?
No.
Why?
No, because it's stupid. It's stupid. It's just
you
stupid.
need to be able to see it.
Nope, it's stupid. It's stupid. It's stupid. It's like Isaac. I will not let the old man in. I can make my life easier, but I just won't do it.
Weekday mornings at 9 a.m.
It's Travis and DeMarco
on 710 ESPN.
Hey, it's Steve Farr. If you're like me, you just don't want to watch the game. You want the best experience every time. That's why Absolute Sport is a game changer. VIP access to the biggest games, exclusive pregame parties, luxury hotels, whether it's courtside, ringside, or the 50-yard line, Absolute Sport makes sure you're there, not just watching, you're living the action. Visit us.absolute-sport.com. That's ABSOLUT-sport, and make your next sporting experience absolutely unforgettable.
Travis Matthew, an apparel brand deeply rooted in Southern California, is here to support our LA community and those affected by the destruction across the cities we love so much. Right now, their Topanga and Century City retail locations are offering free Travis Matthew products to help those affected by the Southern California wildfires. Can't make it to the stores? Discounts are also available by reaching out to their customer service team. Stay updated on Travis Matthew's donation and volunteer efforts by following @TravisMatthew on social media.
This is Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky on 710 ESPN.
The defending champion Celtics came into downtown LA last night for rivalry week, but AD and the Lake Show were up for the task.
Reeves pulls up to AD, slam dunk. Reeves with the alley, AD with the oop.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the top teams in the league, so it definitely gives you confidence that we're able to compete with anybody.
It's a Friday night edition of Lakers Talk with Andy Kamenetsky, presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Back to Andy Kamenetsky.
See, you know this song. You know this song.
I knew exactly that this was El DeBarge. But again, I thought El DeBarge. I knew it was a family name.
Well, this is the DeBarge.
Okay.
This is the group DeBarge, but El DeBarge is the lead singer on this song.
I thought they were one and the same. Again, like, it's the family DeBarge, therefore they are the DeBarge.
Well,
El DeBarge.
I never knew what his real name was until Wikipedia because I thought he was just El DeBarge, and also his brothers and sisters have regular names like Mark and Randy, and he has L.
But it's like they were the DeBarge, like you know how I've referred to before, the Social Network, the Winklevoss twins, they became the Winklevi.
Yeah.
I just thought this was the plural for all of the DeBarges put together. They're the DeBarge. Who knew? Well, other than Ohm. And I guess DeAndre.
A little bit.
And apparently some of the people on the YouTube chat, they all knew. But at least Funchy for a while didn't know. Raj in Rancho Cucamonga, you're on Lakers Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, man, I just want to talk about AD being the pillar to the Lakers right now. I know we all talk about LeBron, and we love LeBron. We respect what he's done in 2020. But like you said, he's been around here longer than we expected. Props to him. But the future for the Lakers has got to be around AD, protecting him, getting the big we need to be able to put him in a safe place so he doesn't get injured, and really thinking about the future of building around him as opposed to just today.
You know, it's a great point, Raj, and I think appreciate the call. I think it gets overshadowed a lot because LeBron is one of the all-time great athletes. Period. Forget NBA, GOAT talks, whatever. LeBron is one of the all-time great athletes ever. And I would say right now he is still the most powerful athlete in North American sports. But and because of that, all conversations about the Lakers will be viewed through the prism of LeBron, especially because LeBron's 40. But the reality is AD's still in his prime. And I think the Lakers should be making their decisions through the prism of Anthony Davis first. Because that's the guy, at least in theory, that's going to be on this team longer and still has more of a prime that you can maximize. Anthony Davis is the best player on this team. He's the best player on a game-in, game-out basis. He's their best two-way player by a long shot. I would argue he was the best two-way player in the entire league last year. And as much as, because LeBron is LeBron and he's got more of an outward presence than Anthony Davis, and he's more of an icon than Anthony Davis, and I get all of that. I think Raj is correct that whatever decisions are made for this team moving forward, they always do have to be made through that prism first of Anthony Davis. Coming up next, though, we are going to get into the return of Jared Vanderbilt, what that could mean for the Lakers moving forward. He's supposed to take his season debut on the court tomorrow against the Warriors, and also some comments from AD, LeBron, and even JJ Redick about what they want for this team over the next couple weeks heading to the deadline. We'll get into all that. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710.
Hi, it's LeBron. The Lakers play here.
710 ESPN.
KSPN, Los Angeles.
A good karma brands radio station.
ESPN LA and Beverly Hills Orthodontics are teaming up because we want to know who's smiling in SoCal. Go to ESPNLA.com and nominate who you think is making LA a better place. This can be a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a good Samaritan, a youngster who brightens your day. Tell us who's smiling and you could win some awesome prizes like sweet tickets from ESPN LA, Sonic Care electric toothbrushes, whitening treatment, and a grand prize of Invisalign from Beverly Hills Ortho. Enter now at ESPNLA.com and remember you're always smiling at Beverly Hills Orthodontics.
Why do we grill to order at Waba Grill? Because it's just better for you. Our Asian-inspired menu has high-quality proteins that are healthier for you. Our steamed vegetables and signature salads are made fresh for you. Our sauces are more flavorful for you. From sweet and spicy to fiery hot. Right now, get our Value Bowl combo for only $8.99. Download the Waba Rewards app or order online at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, it's for you.
Are you ready to make a difference for the environment while helping the visually impaired at the same time? Then donate your vehicle to Heritage for the Blind today by calling 1-800-983-6530. Every donated vehicle will either be properly recycled in an eco-friendly manner or given a new life through reuse. Donating your vehicle is easy. Simply call 1-800-983-6530 and Heritage for the Blind will do the rest. They'll even arrange for your vehicle to be picked up at no cost to you. And for a limited time, when you donate your car, you'll receive a $200 restaurant voucher and a 2-night, 3-day hotel stay at one of 50 locations. Call 1-800-983-6530 right now to schedule your vehicle donation and make a positive impact on the environment while helping others. Heritage for the Blind, where every car donation counts and every person makes a difference. Call 1-800-983-6530 now. This advertisement is paid for by Heritage for the Blind.
710 ESPN, the radio home of the purple and gold.
It's Lakers talk on a Friday night. The Lake Show played host to the hated ones for a rivalry week showdown and came away with the biggest win of the season.
And that's a final. Lakers 117 and the Celtics 96.
The Purple and Gold finish off rivalry week tomorrow night as they visit Steph and the Golden State Warriors to start the long Grammy road trip.
We want a game at home. We protect the home. Our game plan would be different versus Steph than it was versus this team. And versus Golden State, our game plan would be different. So how we execute that will put us in position to either win or lose.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today.
Lakers Talk is on. Here's Andy Kamenetsky.
About 15 minutes or so, 12, 15 minutes, we are going to be joined by Dan Woike from the LA Times. Great coverage of the Lakers, one of the best out there. He is going to be, of course, joining the Lakers as they begin their 6-game road trip. That starts tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. Game can obviously be heard right here on ESPN LA 710. 5:30 tip pregame coverage begins at 4 o'clock with Beto Duran. And before we get into some comments from JJ and LeBron and AD about the trade deadline, I wanted to address, I guess, kind of a new Laker in his own right, Jared Vanderbilt. He is returning tomorrow. He is off the injury report entirely. He's not even listed as probable. He's not there. JJ, a couple days ago, didn't fully commit to the idea that Vando would definitely take the court, but I am guessing that he will, especially after all of the buildup and the starts and the stops with Vando. Like, I'm guessing he's going to play. I would be surprised if it's more than 15 minutes. I'm guessing it'll be somewhere between 10 to 15. But I think it's going to be really, really good to have Vando back. I think Golden State is a potentially good matchup to bring Vando back because they don't have a lot of size to begin with. They're a team that plays pretty small. So it's a natural matchup to bring in Vando off the bench. Maybe he gets some of the minutes that would normally go to Jackson Hayes because they might not have as direct of a size matchup need for Hayes out there. That could be a good entry point. I also, I'd been trying to think about DeAndre and Funchie, just like where Vando's minutes would come in. And last night, notwithstanding, because Dalton Knecht had a very good game, I actually thought some of Vando's minutes could actually come at Knecht's expense because defensively, you can use Vando basically as a guard, and there's more of a need for a defensive guard off the bench when this team, or more room for it, I should say, than I think the front court. Like, you're already using those minutes with DFS. There's still going to be time that LeBron is out there, Anthony Davis is out there, even mixed up with some of the reserves, but especially if Dalton's not hitting shots, I think there's the natural place that he would get some of those at Dalton's expense. You know, you would hopefully be able to shave a couple minutes off LeBron, a couple minutes off AD, but I think Vando could make again, I think people should temper their expectations in the beginning. He has not played in almost a year. I think it's going to take at least a couple weeks before Vando would even be playing 20 minutes a night regularly, but I think he could be really helpful for this team.
He will be really helpful, but my thing is that you put a guy like him in a rotation who doesn't really give you much offensive, but granted, he does move well without the basketball. He does do a lot of nice backdoor cuts, moves really well, like I said. But I feel like if it was to come and you find those minutes, could potentially, if he was to go in the starting lineup, because he was in the starting lineup a lot before he got hurt, what about like switching Rui out and providing that scoring off the bench when Rui comes? Because there's times where Rui does float around. When its offense isn't going, he kind of gets in that float in no man's land. And, I don't know where we can utilize Rui as far as when he's not scoring, because he doesn't rebound well in certain games. So maybe that could be a case, but obviously we know it's going to be a ramp-up process for him to get his feet underneath.
I think that's the problem with the DeAndre. Like in a perfect world, like heading into this season before it was kind of dropped in our laps. Oh, by the way, Vando had double foot surgery. Really, it was nobody. I mean, when I say nobody knew about this, I mean like nobody knew. I had heard a little bit about there's some concerns that Vando might not be ready at the top of training camp. Like I remember I was doing Spectrum Sportsnet with Mike Bresnahan, and he dropped that on a show that I was on. There had been a little bit of other reporting about that. I think Anthony Irwin, now with Clutch Points, might have mentioned that. But nothing specifically about the surgery. It was a little bit weird because Vando had been activated for the last game of that series against Denver. But even if that had been just a total red herring, just trying to make Michael Malone think about something, you still don't anticipate that the dude has another 3 to 4 months left before he's eventually available. But I think in a perfect world heading into this season, Vando would have been a really good option to start. I think at this point, the ramp-up process will take too long, that it's not practical. Like, I think if you're going to move Rui, it would be for DFS. Like, I think Dorian Finney-Smith makes a lot of sense. I agree with you. I think Rui will be better utilized off the bench. He'll get more opportunities. If you don't give Rui a certain amount of shots, there's kind of no point to having him on this team, because you're basically taking away his best strength, which is scoring, and saying do more of the things you're not as good at. It's not really a formula for Rui being set up for success or the Lakers being set up for success.
And isn't that kind of a disappointment, though, that you can't utilize him for other things with this team? Because he has great size.
I know.
He has great strength.
I know.
And there's times where, I just keep looking at the beginning of the season. And I know what the whole thing is about Vanderbilt, but I'm saying we look at the beginning of the season with Rui, and it's like he was aggressive, getting to the basket, getting fouled, knocking down shots, doing 1-0 pull-ups, all the things that
But
Lakers
he needs the ball for that.
Exactly. That's the thing.
But this gets back to why I think it's so important for the offense to run through AD, because I think when it runs through AD, it just moves more. And that gets more opportunities for Rui to score. In the meantime, though, the subject of what the Lakers are going to do or not going to do at the trade deadline has come up a lot. J.J. Redick, after last night's win over the Celtics, talked about the rumors surrounding this team.
No reaction. I mean, the reality is that's not a new report. I got the job 6 months ago, so I know that. I follow this team since I retired. Just put a date next to it. That's the report. It's not a big deal. Those guys want to win. We want to win. And again, it's a challenging environment to just go out and make trades. Feel very fortunate that we were able to execute and get someone like Dorian Finney-Smith on our team. And we'll continue to look over the next couple weeks.
And Anthony Davis also told Shams Charania in an interview that he feels like it would be worth the Lakers' time to make a move before the deadline.
I think our 19-20 team was like the perfect construction of a team. We had shooters, we had dogs defensively, we had scorers. We knew everybody who knew their role.
It sounds to me like you're saying you guys are maybe a couple pieces away.
We are though. I really feel like we are.
It's going to be really interesting. I'm going to talk about this in a couple minutes with Dan Woike from the LA Times. But there was a section in Shams's piece that I want to read to everyone and then we're going to go to break, and I'm going to bring on Dan Woike, and I'm going to bring this up to him. But I just want people thinking about this because I think it's a very potentially revealing paragraph from a report Shams had earlier this week about the Lakers that I think can be read a couple different ways. Quote, the Lakers have done their due diligence engaging trade interest around the league and are open to using their tradable first-round picks for players who are a fit for this iteration of the Davis-James team, as well as for several years to come under Redick, sources said. Just think about that, put a pin in it, and then it's going to come up next when I talk with Dan Woike, who covers the Lakers for the LA Times. This is Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710. But before we even get to Dan Woike, going to let everyone know that whether you are heading to the arena to cheer on the Lakers or you're going to watch the game at a friend's house, commit to the Go Safely game plan. If you plan to drink, plan ahead. Leave the keys behind. Get a sober designated driver. If you still need a sober ride home, there are options. Use public transit or a ride-hailing service. Stick to the game plan. Whatever you do, don't let yourself or your friends land a technical foul by driving impaired. Even the slightest impairment can hinder your ability to drive safely. Celebrate a sober ride home. It's always a win. Friends do not let friends drive drunk. They don't allow themselves to drive drunk. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Going through a life change, whether you're downsizing, you've inherited a home, or you're just ready for a change, Seller's Advantage is here to make selling your home easy. They'll buy it as is with a competitive cash offer. With Seller's Advantage, you're in control. Close as quickly as you want and do it on your own terms. Check out their reviews online and call for a no-obligation offer at 888-390-AS-IS. That's 888-390-2747 or visit sellersadvantage.com.
Don't worry, sell happy with Seller's Advantage.
Hey, it's DeMarco. I know a thing or two about Super Bowls. I've been there, won that. If you want to experience the big game like a pro, Absolute Sport has you covered. From premium tickets to exclusive parties to first-class accommodations, their Super Bowl packages are the MVP of the fan experience. Don't sit on the sidelines. Be a part of the action. Go to us.absolute-sport.com. That's ABSOLUT-sport to lock in your spot. Absolute Sport, it's how champions watch the Super Bowl.
It's the new year. Time to make a positive change in your life.
I went to My Computer Career because I needed job security.
Because I wanted a career in cybersecurity.
I went to My Computer Career because IT jobs are everywhere.
My old job was going nowhere.
I went because I didn't want college loans for the rest of my life.
Because I wanted a career for the rest of my life.
Go to mycomputercareer.edu and take the free career evaluation today. Financial aid available for qualified students, including the GI Bill. 529 college savings plans accepted. Not available in Washington State.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Vanderbilt Gold LLC.
Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710. Reminder, tomorrow the Lakers are going to be in the Bay Area taking on the Warriors. That game can be heard right here on ESPN LA, 5:30 tip. Pre-game coverage begins at 4 o'clock with Beto Duran, who will also have the post-game, and one guy who will be there in San Francisco for this Lakers-Warriors contest is Dan Woike, covers the Lakers for the LA Times. Dan, how are you, man?
Andy, I am good. I am finished packing for the Grammy trip, which is always a stressful night with the suitcase, with the laundry. My washing machine broke like a day. So this trip to the laundromat was involved in this. This was a real to-do. But look, I got everything ready for a 9-day trip with subarctic temperatures.
And at least one stop back in LA for the game against the Clippers. So
at the end, that's at the end. I mean, but that's at the very end. So, it's like, I'm going to be, I decided just to go for it. I packed it all, no laundry on this trip. Just kind of grip it and rip it. And if you catch me in New York City on day 9 and I'm looking disheveled, if I smell a little bit, if I smell like Washington, D.C., now you know why.
Well, I've never been happier not to go on the road to cover this team before. So last night, the Lakers get what some would say is their best win of the season, 117-96 over the Celtics. What were your biggest takeaways from that game?
I mean, I think it establishes a little bit of a ceiling, right, for the Lakers. Like, I mean, if they look like, if that's them at their best, it was a pretty good basketball game, right? Like, the Lakers talk about at times having to be damn near perfect to win games. That looked like damn near perfect to me, basically, right? Like, they shot it good, not like otherworldly. But they were efficient on offense. They took care of the basketball. They were engaged on defense. They were into rotations. They played with a sense of urgency. Like a very all-around serious performance from a team that isn't always that serious. And I think really encouraging stuff. I find the timing of it all to be very interesting.
We're going to get into that.
Yeah. As it comes at a time when, quite frankly, like, if the Lakers stars are going to try to get what they want, or at least apply pressure, they need to first establish that it's worth investing in. And I think, look, but like the win, it looks a little bit better on paper than it probably was. Boston was in overtime the night before. They've been struggling here over the last month as they kind of hit that like pretty predictable middle of the season sort of malaise for a team that knows kind of where it's going to be headed in the East. So a lot of those things I would say, like, maybe contributed to it, but look, the schedule is the schedule. You play who's in front of you. They're the best team the Lakers have beaten this year. And Memphis probably being a close second. And I think they've got to feel pretty good about themselves after that game.
Talking with Dan Woike, he covers the Lakers for the LA Times. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710. We're going to get into the timing of all of this and what makes it interesting. But I want to ask you about something you said, because I have said this before. I've heard a lot of other people who cover this team say this before. When you describe them as not always being a serious team, what do you think causes that?
That's a good question. I think, unserious is kind of hard to like even describe too, as to like, it's sort of like, it when you see it, as they famously say in a Supreme Court decision, about obscenity, I think.
And pornography.
And pornography. Yes. So like, I think, when it comes to me, it's just sort of like, sometimes it's slow to rotations, stapled, like where the offense totally breaks down and you get all of these like single touch possessions or 2-touch possessions, where they're not doing what the coaching staff wants, and there's like nothing that can be done to stop it. I think, look, some of they're habits for reasons. That's why they're called habits, right? Like, they're hard to break, and I think this team is trying to identify a new style on both ends of the floor, particularly offensively. And I think like to play like that more team style basketball, when you've got, the greatest mismatch hunter probably in league history in LeBron James, and you've got a pretty dominant, but like plodding, we'll say, methodical offensive player in Anthony Davis, that can slow things down sometimes. And I think in this way, against Boston, like, they were spot on. Like AD was really aggressive early. I thought LeBron, like, just an A-plus floor game. You could have told me he scored 40 points. You could have told me he scored 12 points. It was like his impact felt like that. And I think, you can add Austin Reeves to that mix. Was efficient, got to the free throw line, like, kind of did his job. It was really like sort of everybody touched the floor for the Lakers was incredibly proficient at the job that was put in front of them, by and large. And that's what it's going to take for this team to reach its ceiling.
Talking with Dan Woike, he covers the Lakers for the LA Times. Get to the timing of this win, which, as you noted, and a lot of others have as well. Very interesting. This came on the heels of AD doing a sit-down with Shams Charania from ESPN that basically dropped right before the game started, where, among other things, AD said in no uncertain terms, I want a center on this team. I want more size. I want more size because specifically I want to play more power forward, which is something we've known forever. It's been an open secret, but he's rarely been this outward about it. There's two pieces of this that I think is interesting. First, how likely do you think it is that the Lakers could find a center good enough to justify playing AD more minutes at the 4, more with LeBron at the 3, more reconfiguration on the fly of schemes on both sides of the ball for JJ? Like, just in terms of a mission.
That's a really good question, Andy. I think it's very unlikely, actually. I think, the player that fans most often slot into that is Walker Kessler. I reported this a couple weeks ago. I will reiterate it again today. He doesn't seem to be available.
I've never believed the idea that he's available, to be honest.
And look, available is like a relative sense, right? But, I still think that there are people inside the Lakers that believe that even if the Lakers offered Dalton Connect their 2 unprotected firsts and their 27 1-4 protection, that Utah might still say no. And that sounds crazy because it's an overpay. But it just doesn't seem like an option, right? Like, you can't buy a house that's not for sale, is a famous Rob Blake statement. And there is an element of well, actually, Rob, if you knock on the door and you keep offering money and you keep offering and you keep offering money, maybe eventually you get that house. But you may end up with a $500,000 house for $1.2 million. And I think the Lakers run that risk a little bit in this Walker Kessler situation. But again, not available. As far as I know right now, he's not available. He's not an option. So then you start looking at other tiers of players and, to find a rim protector that plays with the kind of pace the Lakers want to play with, that can maybe even, either space the floor vertically at the rim or space it at the 3-point line, and who fits within sort of the salary constraints that they have in trades. Good luck. That's where I'm at on it. Good luck. And I look, end of the day, I think they know that. I think Anthony Davis understands that, and will understand that. And I also think it's his, it's his prerogative as a player to again say, I believe this is what's best for me and for our team. This is how we won a championship. To me, that argument just loses a little bit every year we get further away from it.
I was okay. You answered the second part of my question, and this is a drum I've been beating a lot. I'm talking with Dan Woike from the LA Times, covers the Lakers. The idea that this worked in 2020, so it will automatically work 5 years later, I have never bought into in the first place. Anthony Davis is not the same player that he was 5 years ago. Doesn't mean he's not still a great player, but he's not the same player that he was 5 years ago. LeBron is not the same player as he was 5 years ago. And I think people, and maybe even Anthony Davis, remember how much he was playing power forward, and particularly when. There's been some memory holing of how it actually happened, because in the moments that really mattered the most, AD was almost always, if not exclusively, at center. And there's a reason for it.
And I think there are some merits to this, right? We've seen lately, the 2 big lineup stuff working a little bit better with Jackson Hayes and stuff like that. And look, I think Lakers fans are right to worry about how that might look in a huge game, right? What is the trust level in Jackson Hayes? I think that's a very fair question. He's also had, 2 pretty significant ankle injuries. They're related, but that made him unavailable for a big chunk of time this season. So, I think, looking around for upgrades that way, and then also looking and seeing, obviously, there is a type of player that Anthony Davis has struggled with, right? And it is generally speaking, broad-shouldered European centers is sort of the archetype right now.
Yeah.
But that's been kind of how it's gone. And I just think, one, I am generally against the notion of spending significant capital either in salary cap space or in draft capital on a backup center who's going to play minimal minutes because your best center is Anthony Davis. Like I'm in principle sort of against that. And I think if you want to if you want to add a second player because it makes you like incredibly special in strange ways, like having two elite shot blockers like Walker Kessler and Anthony Davis, if that's really what you need to do, again, don't love the fit, wouldn't be my first choice. It has to make sense within what you're willing to send out, and these trade machine ideas that have the Lakers sending out contracts that other teams don't want and only one first round pick or a couple it's just not realistic. That's not the cost that's out there right now in almost any deal, especially 2 weeks before the trade deadline. Those prices will dip as we get closer, but generally speaking, it's pretty expensive out there right now. And Laker fans need to understand, and I've tried to write this. I don't know how many ways I can say it. Teams do not want to take on long-term money for players they don't love. And you have players like Jared Vanderbilt and Gabe Vincent, and I understand Gabe Vincent's been playing a lot better, and even to a degree, Rui Hachimura. These guys all have years left on their deals, and they're owed more than $10 million a season. So, jamming those guys together to get to $40 million to bring back Nikola Vucevic and Kobe White, even if it costs you both unrestricted first-round picks, it's probably not going to happen. It's just probably not going to happen. That is not how teams operate.
I'm talking with Dan Woike. He covers the Lakers for the LA Times. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710. Okay, this leads to another interesting thing connecting the Lakers and Anthony Davis and LeBron and Shams. There was a report that he had on ESPN earlier this week where he talked about LeBron and Anthony Davis being concerned that the Lakers won't be able to make any moves at the deadline, or maybe will not be willing to make any moves at the deadline. JJ Redick, after Thursday's win over the Celtics, talked about his hope that this would reinforce the idea that this group would be worth investing in. This was a piece from Shams that really jumped out at me, even more than LeBron and AD's concerns. Quote, "The Lakers have done their due diligence engaging trade interest around the league and are open to using their tradable first-round picks for players who are a fit for this iteration of the Davis and James team, as well as for several years to come under Redick," sources said. And at first blush, that could be like, oh, the Lakers are aggressively, looking around and they're open for business and they're thinking, let's go for it. Until I think you actually start looking at what's being said there. And they'll put the 2 firsts on the table as long as it's a player that is good enough to help significantly right now and through, say, 2030, who can be had for just 2 first-round picks and an assortment of contracts that, as you just noted, are considered anywhere from neutral to negative, presumably without including Austin Reeves. And when you start unpeeling all those different details, to me, it reads more like a pre-explanation for why they don't make a big move than actually signaling that they are. Am I reading too much into this?
No, you're not. And I mean, I think this is pretty consistent with their positioning on this. And I've written this too in the past where it's, the goal is now in the future, right? They are keenly aware of that. And there's also some weird needle threading that you have to do with that. But it's the idea in these deals is to find players that have utility beyond now. And look, that is true for every team, generally speaking. Right? If you're going to make a trade in a perfect world, you are doing so with some long-term view of kind of what's in front of you, of how this player is going to fit your roster. I think, what's sort of unique about the Lakers situation, and I've had a hard time really kind of trying to explain this, there's this gap in between what is available to them and what they have to send out. Right? What they have to send out is actually, you said it was just 2 first-round picks. You'll talk to teams who definitely view this as being more than just 2 first-round picks, right? These are post-LeBron James Lakers first-round picks when their draft capital is already sort of depleted, when they don't have naturally the stockpile of 22-year-olds and 23-year-olds like ready to step in and move for what's next. But like I think the other challenge is though.
I just meant really quickly, just that quite literally they only have 2, like that they can't make it 3 or 4. That just
no, you're right. And you're right. And I think like, look, they could do what Phoenix did where you unbundle one of those picks for 3 bad firsts. The point is that doesn't help that much either. That like it would maybe help in this scenario because I was going to say, Andy, like a lot of the stuff that maybe they could get at wouldn't be worth 2 unprotected first round picks or 2 first round picks even protected. Like when they're your only 2 picks, right? And maybe they could get better that way. Excuse me, but I think the challenge is finding something both that like, that fits in that sweet spot where they're not overpaying to get something that helps and even fits in their future, right? Versus like also like where they don't feel like they're doing nothing, and it's a challenge. I would tell Laker fans that if you watch the game closely last night, do not look at the box score with Dorian Finney-Smith. Excuse me. Do not look at the box score with Dorian Finney-Smith. He played Jason Tatum phenomenally last night.
Yes, he did.
And he has been a very welcome addition, I think, despite what the record says, to the way this team kind of, to its demeanor, to its toughness, to its selflessness. Like he is a very good fit for them. And I think they got him without a first round pick. I will kind of say to Laker fans, they should know this, that more than likely was the big trade. Because in that deal, while they didn't trade their firsts, they traded their most tradable thing, which is D'Angelo Russell's expiring contract, which would have been a key piece in almost any other trade of magnitude that they were to make. If they were to trade for Jakob Poeltl, that would be something that would go out in that deal. If they were going to trade for Colin Sexton, that would likely be something that was going to go out in that deal. If they were going to trade for Robert Williams, or if they were going to trade for whoever, whatever center du jour that you would like to and that's the center of the day. I've heard that's very good. I think I'll have that. I think, that is sort of the reality, and we'll see what happens when it comes to the rest of their roster. But you do start talking about guys that have been very important to how well they've played to date, going out in trades. You're talking about Rui Hachimura, who has had a pretty good season. I thought had a pretty good game last night, even though he didn't shoot it great. And Gabe Vincent, who has been kind of the guy you thought you were hoping you'd get the last month and a half, and certainly has filled the need that they would have if he was gone. They would need a physical guard who could help with ball handling. Like right. It is a boat with multiple holes in it, and you might be able to plug one. You're not going to be able to take all of them. And if the Lakers situation where they have to wonder, is it worth, really like throwing a wild overpay out there for a trade that I'm not even sure exists. Like, I don't really see one. Like, I think there may be some time. Like, look, if you call Utah again at the trade deadline and say, we'll give you 2 unprotected first round picks, their position on Walker Kessler maybe changes. Maybe it changes. It doesn't today. That's not like, as of today, that's not their position.
He is Dan Woike. He covers the Lakers for the LA Times. His coverage is never dumb or dumber. Appreciate the time, brother. Thank you very much, man.
It is usually one of those. It is actually usually one of those. Thankfully, our pets' heads are not falling off. That's all that matters. And Lakers fans should take solace in that.
Not after last night's win, man. The pets' heads are, for the time being, still on their necks. Appreciate it, man. Safe travels.
All right. Thanks, Eddie.
All right, coming up next, we will react to Dan Woike from the LA Times, his thoughts on the trades that may not happen for the Lakers. Take your calls, 877-710-ESPN. Lakers Talk. Andy Kamenetsky, 710 ESPN.
ESPN LA and Beverly Hills Orthodontics are teaming up because we want to know who's smiling in SoCal. Go to ESPNLA.com and nominate who you think is making LA a better place. This can be a mentor, a teacher, a coach, a good Samaritan, a youngster who brightens your day. Tell us who's smiling and you could win some awesome prizes like sweet tickets from ESPN LA, Sonic Care electric toothbrushes, whitening treatment, and a grand prize of Invisalign from Beverly Hills Ortho. Enter now at ESPNLA.com and remember, you're always smiling at Beverly Hills Orthodontics.
It's playoff time, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last few weeks of football action with Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the playoffs. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. The app is really easy to use. Pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projection, and you could win up to 1,000 times your money. Prize Picks now offers MasterCard for quick and easy deposits into your account this sports season. Join Prize Picks, America's #1 daily fantasy sports app, available to play in more than 40-plus states, including California and Texas. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code TRAV and get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code TRAV on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it. Did you know that 1 in 4 people seeking treatment for ED are under 40? So you're not alone. And even better, HIMS can help. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs at up to 95% less than the brand names when you get started at hims.com/joy. It all starts with an online intake form. From there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. Through hims.com, you can access a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Millions of men experience ED, but HIMS can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. hims.com/joy.
Lakers talk continues on 710 ESPN.
After a big win over the Celtics last night, NBA rivalry week rolls into Golden State as JJ Redick and the Lakers visit the Warriors tomorrow night to start the 6-game road trip.
Hopefully there's some reinforcement, maybe some establishment, but some belief that gets reinforced here about what we can be and how good we can be.
Lakers Talk is presented by Hoag Orthopedic Institute. When pain keeps you from doing what you love, Hoag Orthopedic Institute gets you back to you. Visit HoagOrthopedicInstitute.com to get the help you need today. A Friday night edition of Lakers Talk rolls on right now.
Young DeBarge?
No. This is the Silvers.
The Silvers?
Yes. Boogie Fever.
I don't know them. I actually don't know
We've
them.
heard Boogie Fever before.
Okay.
But this is a group from Watts. They were young kids, and actually Dr. Dre, DOC, they sampled this song.
Okay.
Yeah.
You could easily believe that this was like a Jackson 5 B-side.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's what I thought when I originally heard this.
100%. You could think this is Jackson 5 B-side. Thanks again to Dan Woike from the LA Times for joining us. I do think it is very interesting the way that was phrased to Shams through sources, the idea that the Lakers are open to using one or even both of their tradable first-round picks as long as it's for a player that fits now and later, theoretically high impact, because otherwise why would you do this, particularly for a first? Presumably without Austin Reeves, that feels like a very, very narrow window of options. Call me a skeptic, call me a cynic, but that to me reads more like the preemptive explainer for why a move is not coming as opposed to why one is. But we shall see, especially after this win over the Celtics and LeBron and AD, particularly Anthony Davis, putting more of his thoughts out there on the table. Maybe that lights a little bit more of a fire, creates a little more pressure for Rob Pelinka. We'll see. Pedro in Inglewood, you're on Lakers Talk. What's up, man?
Hey, what's up? Just want to say, first of all, I'm a big fan. I really value your opinion.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah. As far as the guy was talking about the whole Kessler thing, where it was like it's against his principle to have both of them out there, I kind of was a little bit against it because like the last time the Lakers were dominant, they had Bynum and Gasol. And I know it's a different time and a different era. It's more like outside in now. I just feel like if the Lakers had two real big men that were real good at rebounding, especially offensive rebound. Kessler is actually the leading rebounder in offensive rebounds. So, like, I feel like the Lakers could win some of those crucial possessions where, like, before they would give up offensive rebound or before they couldn't get a defensive rebound. You know, like, just stuff like that would even out. But I get his point.
It's really quick, interesting, though, Pedro. Like, you're correct about, like, in a vacuum, could you justify having Walker Kessler on this team, playing with Anthony Davis? In a vacuum, just yes or no, could that work? I think the answer could be yes. But then you start thinking about the other particulars, like who's on the roster, how do you get your best five or most of your best five players, your best six, best seven on the floor as often as possible. And then, too, like, what do the crunch time minutes look like? And it's interesting that you brought up Bynum and Gasol. And obviously, you know, Pau Gasol is a Hall of Famer. Andrew Bynum, before injuries really took over in his own right, was good. He was All-NBA one season. But crunch time, though, the Lakers typically closed with Pau Gasol and Lamar Odom, which was still, I mean, don't get me wrong, you're still talking about two guys who are 7 feet or close.
Yeah. And they have both lengths. They were
right,
both
exactly.
big guys.
And that's, Pedro, I appreciate the call. That's really what I was getting at is there's a difference between maintaining size through pure size versus maintaining size through length. And like that 2020 title team, for all the talk about JaVale and Dwight alongside AD, and those guys did matter, particularly in the regular season, the Lakers were often just really big because they had AD with LeBron, with Kuzma, who was big for a wing, with Markieff Morris, who could play small ball center and was a legitimately good size power forward, much less small forward if he'd sometimes be playing there. Like Danny Green could be big for a two guard. Like Rajon Rondo, he's not a big guy, but he had a ton of length. Like that team could
championship DNA.
Yeah, championship DNA.
I'm telling you, people would discredit. Rondo was a big part of that team just because of his experience and how I don't know. I just feel like Rondo was a great fit for that.
Let me tell
team.
you, Rondo was a fascinating guy to cover, and like he could be prickly. Like he really didn't like the Q&A, post game stuff with media, the scrums. Like he thought a lot of it was stupid, and I get it. Like I mean, he's a really like a legitimately smart guy, not even just basketball smart. Like Rondo. It's funny, like if you Google Rajon Rondo Connect Four, like there's the legend of Rajon Rondo being great at Connect Four. It is 100% true, and the reason I know is years ago, my brother Brian and I, and I don't remember what he goes by now, but then Sal Masakela, we did this project for Red Bull. I don't remember if Rondo was a Red Bull athlete at the time. But Rondo did an interview talking with my brother Brian and Sal playing Connect Four against both of them at the same time, like two different boards. He's running different games of Connect Four, and he beat them both while just conducting this interview. Like
Wait a minute. So he played two guys in Connect Four at the same time?
Right. He played two guys at once, my brother and Sal, while answering questions and kicking their asses in Connect Four. Like he's known as like a math genius. Like I think he's like in the summers worked with high school kids in math, or I mean, like Rondo's a really, really.
So you're
bright
saying he's
guy.
like Bobby Fischer for Connect Four?
Yes, and basketball and point guarding, and you raise a good point, DeAndre. Like most championship teams, they're really smart. Like when I covered on a daily basis the Kobe Pau teams. That locker room was really smart. Like. Kobe is one of the smartest athletes I've ever been around. Pau is one of the smartest people I've ever been around, much less athletes. Andrew Bynum, super smart. Like he used to take apart computers and put them back together, like just for funsies. Derek Fisher was a really smart guy. Lamar Odom, smart guy. Ron Artest, I know all the Ron reputation. Ron is now Meta, really bright guy. Like a lot of Jordan Farmar, smart guy. Like a lot of smart dudes on that team. Daniel in Santa Monica, you're on Lakers Talk. What's up, Daniel?
Hey, how you doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
Hear me out on this one, right?
Sure.
Okay, so everyone you ask about a trade for the Los Angeles Lakers, everyone says the same thing. Oh, if it's not a championship move, then don't make it, right? Don't waste your assets. But then those same people are saying, hey, the way we got to win in the modern NBA, which is true, is with depth. So another DFS move, I think it's a great idea. So if there's another like chip away move, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have our 2 wings now, right? Maybe we need a ball handler now, or maybe we need a big, right? So those lateral moves, I think, are good right now because if we do that over time, then we're like not a laughing stock anymore, and then real winning players might want to come. I just think the whole narrative about like, hey, don't make it unless it's a championship move, like a Jimmy Butler, which I don't know if that's a championship move, right?
The Lakers aren't going to be able to make it.
I think that move is good, right?
I mean, first of all, the Lakers are not going to be able to trade for Jimmy Butler. Like, I don't think they can stack together enough contracts, or they'd have to stack together, I should say, so many contracts that it becomes unfeasible for them building a roster, and it's going to be too many contracts that Miami doesn't want in the first place. Like, putting aside whether you think Jimmy Butler's a good idea or not, I don't think they're actually going to be able to do it. That idea, though, that was brought up about incremental moves and like sort of incremental improvement, I think in theory makes a ton of sense. The problem, though, is the time to do that was like 3 years ago. So you could build with that as LeBron ages. If you are trying to make these moves in theory to capitalize on what you have with LeBron and AD now, because you can't count on LeBron for anything past 40. He's playing well. I'm just saying you can't count on it with LeBron past 40. Like, there is a certain element of borrowed time by definition because he's 40 years old in season 22. Anthony Davis, he's on the back end of his prime. Like, he's still in his prime, but he's 31. Like, he is not the guy that the Lakers traded for now going on 6 seasons ago. So I think David was his name. I think he is correct about the idea of every single move doesn't need to be a home run as long as you have the time to keep building. And that's what makes the Lakers' position right now really tenuous, because they may not be like a move away from all of a sudden really being a true contender, but they don't necessarily have the time to build towards that, assuming this is the core you're going to keep working with. So really interesting decisions for Rob Pelinka ahead. And coming up ahead for us, little crunch time. Funchy's going to lead us as always. Lakers Talk, Andy Kamenetsky, ESPN LA 710.
Just like the Lakers have a game plan on the court, you should have a Go Safely game plan off the court. If you plan to drink, plan for a designated sober driver. If you're the designated sober driver, move over a lane when you see amber flashing lights on Caltrans, law enforcement, or other emergency vehicles or tow trucks. If you can't move over safely, slow down and be work zone alert. Go Safely, California, from the California Office of Traffic Safety and Caltrans.
Next Gen is the official plumbing, heating, and AC company of SoCal sports fans. Right now, ESPN LA listeners can book a drain cleaning for just $88. That's right, just $88, and you can keep your plumbing in top shape and ensure your game day ready. So don't miss out. Call 833-3-NEXTGEN today to take advantage of this limited time offer. That's 833-3-NEXGEN, or visit nextgenaironplumbing.com to schedule your $88 drain cleaning appointment today.
NEXGEN, call 833-3-NEXTGEN.
It's crunch time on Lakers Talk.
When the clock is ticking and it's all coming down to the wire, you know what that means.
This is crunch time.
All right, as always, this will be led by Funchy. DeAndre and I are going to comment on various NBA stories around the league. What you got for us, Funchy?
First of all, I just want to say hail to the Commanders. Hail to victory.
Big game for you this weekend.
Yes. Shut up.
Shut up. For both. Hey, I said big game for you. I didn't specify who I was talking to.
Listen, Andy, the last time the Commanders were in this game, Sergeant Slaughter was riding with Iraq versus Hulk Hogan, okay?
Wow.
The first George Bush was the president, okay?
Wow.
Yes. So yes, I'm a happy dude, and I can't believe this day has happened in my lifetime again.
Wow. It's really been
It's been 92 since 92.
I knew that it had been that long. I knew this. This is like Doug Williams, Timmy Smith, correct?
No, this is Mark Ripken. Doug Williams came 5 years before. About 4 or 5 years before. This is their last one, Mark Ripken.
Oh, I'm thinking Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I'm thinking Super Bowl, not NFC Championship.
Well, NFC
game.
Championship, too. I mean, the last time they were in an NFC Championship was 92. That led them to the Super Bowl.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then DeAndre, he's just used to this with his Eagles.
Yeah, I seen him. I witnessed the Super Bowl with them.
All right, well, this will be fun.
Thank you. The NBA announced the All-Star starters yesterday on Inside NBA. The East will be riding with New York's Jalen Brunson, Cleveland's Donovan Mitchell, New York's Karl-Anthony Towns, Giannis, and Jason Tatum. The West will have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Steph Curry, Nikola Jokic, our LeBron, and KD. Are you okay with the All-Star starters?
I mean, first of all, does it even matter with this new format? Like,
Yeah.
I don't
That's
even
something
know
I was going to
what
get into next.
I don't even know what an All-Star starter means anymore, because once this thing gets broken up into 4 teams, some of these quote-unquote reserves, they're going to be starting anyway.
Yeah, what I hate, though, is that the fans don't control the vote anymore. It's 50% fans, 25% NBA players, and 25% the media who makes these votes. So I always liked it that the fans, voted for who they wanted to see. And the fans voted for LaMelo Ball to be in the game, and he didn't end up being a starter.
He is perfect for an all-star game.
Exactly.
He is
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah, and this gets to the tension between people saying they want a competitive game versus it's just a damn exhibition. Like, it's like, give the people what they asked for. Like, it's maybe part of the reason why the game doesn't appeal to fans the way they used to is fans are telling you what they want and you're saying no. Like, they apparently want to see LaMelo. Like, that's different than, what LaMelo brings to the table as an NBA player and winning basketball and yada, yada, yada. They want to see him in the All-Star game, and I get it. He's perfect for an All-Star game if all you're doing is just bleeping around.
Yes. Do I agree with, LaMelo totally being there based on his record? No, but if the fans voted for him to be there, then darn it, they should be able to see him in the game.
Nope.
And this format, too, this new format where they're going to break it up in 3 teams, and also whoever wins the rookie challenge or whatever is going to be
sophomore.
Yeah, is going to be included too. Like,
maybe Dalton connects in that game.
What's going on? I was just telling DeAndre in the break, like these guys that play on Friday night should be nowhere near Sunday.
Look, man. The problem is, like, they keep trying to come up with a new gimmick way to make this exciting and appealing to fans. The problem is the game and to the players, like trying to get the players invested. Problem is, All-Star games don't offer the same thing to players anymore. It used to be, like, for some players, their biggest opportunity at a showcase, like the biggest, the most amount of eyeballs that would be watching
to improve their brand or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, between League Pass and social media and half these guys having their own podcasts and it just a global interconnected world we live in, none of this is unique anymore. So really what it is for these players is a pain in the ass. It's actually and a chance to maybe get hurt.
I like Michael Thompson's idea. I want to use the Michael Thompson's idea of like just paying the winner of the game $1 million each guy if they play hard. I mean, come on, $1 million in a day's work. You wouldn't play hard for that?
I mean, I guess they might, but the problem is, though, at that point you're just asking them to be mercenaries because, like, the NBA tournament, the NBA Cup, those games at least count. Other than the championship, they count towards your actual record.
That's true.
So there's stakes. This doesn't truly mean anything. I think that's really the problem.
All right, one more thing. You were just talking about this. Jimmy Butler did it again. Came back to the team after his 7-game suspension. Played a couple games, didn't get suspended for 2 more games.
Oh, I thought you meant. I swear, I thought you meant he just came back because you lose track of when the suspensions begin.
No,
and
he
end.
came back for like a game or 2 and then like got suspended again.
I know about the 2-game. I thought for a second he finished his 2-game and got suspended again.
Oh no! This would be a record though. I mean, like, what does Miami do at this point, dude? Do they just sit him down until they can find a trade?
Honestly, I feel like you could sit him for the rest of the season if you have to. Like, it's not like the Heat are going anywhere.
No.
Like, I would say this. If I have to choose between sitting him for the rest of the season or taking on contracts I don't want, go be by yourself, Jimmy. Like, I'm not taking on contracts that I don't want just to try to make Jimmy Butler happy for a team that, frankly, isn't going anywhere anyway.
And it's like when he's on the basketball court, you can see his energy. Like, he just doesn't want to be out there.
Right.
Yeah, man.
I think he's hurting himself to eventually get to the team that he wants to get to and get the
who wants to play with Jimmy now if he's doing this?
Well, I mean, look, it's very clear that he thinks Matt Ishbia, who is just aggressive enough to give him the contract that he wants for, which is why he's
Have a cup of coffee, Jimmy, and calm down.
I mean, he's already given out a little code and stuff by having the Phoenix Suns colorway on his shoes and all that. I mean, come on, man.
But I think it's because he feels like all the aggressive moves Matt Ishbia makes, Ishbia would be the one guy that, despite all of this waves arms around, will still give Jimmy Butler the contract that he wants. It's an interesting game that he's playing. Again, appreciate everybody for listening tonight. Thank you to Ohm Youngmisuk from ESPN. Thank you to Dan Woike from the LA Times. Next week, because we are a traveling show, we will be on Wednesday, the 29th, from 6 to 8. Again, Wednesday, 6 to 8, Lakers Talk. Thank you to Funchy. Thank you to DeAndre. Thank you to everybody for listening. Lakers Talk, ESPN LA.